Hey everybody, I'm Tom Williams. Welcome to the Lost Miner YouTube channel. In this episode, I'm going over toilet systems that can be used for glamping. So on our first dome, what we used was a composting toilet system. So I'm going to go in and show on my screen the system that we used and I guess some of the benefits, but also the cons associated with it as well. For our second dome that we have running, we didn't go with the composting barrel system that I'm going to show you. We just had a lot of trouble on the first one maintaining it. So I'll go into what those issues were, and then I'm going to show you guys using a porta potty for your glamping site. That's currently what we're doing now. There's pros and cons to that as well, of course. And then I'm going to show you a system that we're going to use for our next build, which I don't know. We'll just have to. It looks pretty hands off, and looks like it'll be a good system, but we'll see. So let's go ahead and dive into it, and I'll show you each one. All right, guys. This is the first system that we used, and I just did a lot of research on the internet trying to find some kind of composting system, toilet system that we could use for our first dome. I had no experience with any system, so after doing a lot of research, I found this system. It looked like it was going to be the best way. So I'm actually on the YouTube channel for the guy that invented this system. The YouTube page is called the Watershed Management. That's the name of the YouTube page, Watershed Management. So I'm just going to go ahead and press play just so you can kind of see what it is. And then we'll go into, I've got a little bit of content showing our system on our first dome.
And user of composting.
Okay, so his name's David Omick.
Hello, my name is David Omick. I am a designer and user of composting toilets. I've been using composting toilets for almost 25 years. This composting toilet is a waterless toilet that utilizes microbes to break down human sewage into a nutritious plant fertilizer known as compost. Okay, so this is the barrel composting toilet system.
Okay, so you can see right off the bat, it's a very simple system. So that was one thing I really liked about it. And being a 55-gallon drum as well, that was another thing. I only go out to our site, same with the first site, maybe during the tour season when we're up and running, like once a month. So I need something that I didn't have to fool with for that whole month.
This particular system involves two barrels, which is the size required for one person in full-time use. To determine sizing, you basically take the number of adults who will be using the toilet full-time, plus one is the number of barrels required in the system. So for two people in full-time use, it takes 3 barrels. These barrels are 55-gallon plastic drums. They are made of high-density polyethylene. They are fully recyclable and widely available.
All right, so we did a 3-barrel. Well, actually, we had barrels out there that we could change out. So I was gonna say we did a 3-barrel system, but actually it was one barrel that was buried. Our first property was almost solid limestone, the whole property. So as you can see with this system, it involves digging a hole, and then you set the barrel down in there, and then you just take it out. Or actually, what he's going to show is basically you just alternate. So once one's full, you change the toilet seat, put it on the other one, and then you just cover the one that's already full. While the other one's in use, the first one's composting. And then, fill up the other one, and then he even has like a 3-barrel system, and then you just go over to switch over to the 3rd barrel. And then by the time that one's full, the concept is that the first one has already fully composted, and you can just, dump it out, and then that becomes the active barrel again. since our ground was mostly limestone, it took me forever just to dig that first hole. And I was thinking, I knew there was no way I was going to dig 3 of these holes through basically solid rock. So I ended up just digging one and basically stored some spare barrels at our property.
The reasons we chose him as sort of the basis of the design for those reasons, and also relatively inexpensive.
And it is really inexpensive. If you go to their website, he showed it earlier, you can download all the plans. You can get used barrels off Facebook Marketplace for super cheap. If you're not worried about what was in it before, which with this system, you know, it's not going to have drinking water or anything in it, so your options are more open. You get them for like, you know, maybe even $10, $15. If you buy a brand new one, you could be spending over $100 per barrel. So you can get these things pretty cheap. And then all of the other materials are very inexpensive as well.
The toilet consists of the barrel, a wooden top, which is finished with a waterproof finish, toilet seat, a 3-part ventilation system, and you'll notice that we have 2 barrels here. The top is removable, so the barrel is basically used.
All right, so he's just going to go and explain what I've already said. So you've got the active barrel. Once it fills up, that top, you just put it on to the next barrel while the one that's full compost. I'm going to go ahead and skip it through a little bit. All right, he even has, if you guys want to try this system, he's got all the information. He shows you how to build it and everything. So he's got some really good content on how to do it. All right, so now I'm going to go to my Instagram page because I've got a video, maybe even photos where it shows how we had it set up. This is our Instagram page. I hope I said Instagram. Yeah, our Instagram page is where I'm going to look it up. All right, this is our current build. So second build. Keep scrolling down. If you guys want to check us out on Instagram, it's the Lost Miner LLC. On Instagram, you can see I've got a lot of content documenting both builds. All right, here we go.
Hey guys, this is the dirtiest job here at the Lost Miner. Changing out the compostable toilet.
Some of the issues that we had with the compost and barrel system was that the design calls for having a urine diverter. So as soon as you sit on the toilet, it's basically in a funnel. So the idea is that, you know, whenever you urinate, it goes down the urine diverter and then it drains outside, and then solids go inside the barrel. So the only thing accumulating in the barrel is actually solids. So that's the way we started out doing it, but people would mess it up. They would get sawdust, and then sawdust would constantly be getting into the urine diverter, and it'd get backed up completely with urine. And that was probably the biggest problem with people not taking care, or I guess not knowing how to use it, even with the instructions. It seems like it'd be, you know, kind of a common sense, but people end up getting it wrong. So the urine diverter was a huge issue. So we ended up eliminating it, and we look back at the system, and you actually don't have to have a urine diverter. It just helps keep the odor down by not having urine sitting there. So we took that off, and then we just had everything going down into the barrel. And then the problem with that is it would get extremely heavy. Once our barrel would fill up, we'd have to pick it up and then put a fresh barrel in there, and it was just way too heavy. It is extremely heavy sometimes. And so, like I said, it would get really nasty with it be infested. It'd get infested really quick with flies and worms. I mean, you have like maggots, you know, around the toilet bowl. And it was just, after dealing with that system for the first season, we knew we weren't going to try it again. I've thought about, you know, if I did it again, I wouldn't have them buried in the ground. I would just have them on top of the ground, and then just use a dolly to kind of move them around when I had to, but I was ready to try something else on this next build. So let's get into the porta potty. Okay, so this is the Keep It Tiny YouTube channel, and I've seen lots of his videos. He does a really good job. I don't think that he's producing any content anymore. Last time I looked at his channel, it's been a long time since he's posted anything, but he was posting a lot of content, really valuable content as well. I would recommend, checking it out if you need to reference anything for glamping. So he talks about this issue too. What kind of system to use for an off-grid glamping site? What's the best, the most worry-free? So we're going to watch a little bit of this and then talk about it.
Well, check out today's video because I've got something crazy for you. You're either living there, homesteading, or maybe even renting it out. You've got an off-grid piece of land. Maybe it's a cabin, a tent, a tiny structure. You're either living there, homesteading, or maybe even renting it out on Airbnb. But you have one dirty problem, and that's the bathroom. You don't know what you can do and how you can operate one. Well, check out today's video because I've got something crazy for you. Do you want to know the cheapest, easiest way to have a bathroom off the grid? Well, it's actually something that we all have used before, a porta potty. I know that sounds crazy, but check this out. In today's video, the owner of the Sun Barn, a really great glamp site in upstate New York, is going to talk us through why he decided to go with the simple porta potty for his off-grid bathroom. So this is, and I haven't been to all the glamps.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop it there.
I'm just using porta potties. That sounds like such an amazing idea, just because it really alleviates you. Like, people are used to it. They know how to do it, because what I've noticed is that's the hardest part. Is teaching someone how to use a composting toilet or making someone get comfortable with something. Everyone has used one before. It's one less thing.
Okay, I think that's really all I'm going to show, and I'm going to put a picture up here on the screen so you can see ours. It's just a blue porta potty, and our second dome is located on top of a hill, so we've got it on the bottom, so it's a little bit of a walk, but you kind of want something like that to be away from where everybody stands here. But he makes a really good point. A porta potty is something that everybody knows how to use. There's no, you don't have to put any instructions up. If you look at, there's lots of different composting toilet systems out there, even incinerator toilets. But even though in theory all of them are very easy to use, people will mess it up. So that's the problem. You have to put, most guests have never used a composting toilet system, and you end up having to put instructions up there on how to use it, and then they'll end up messing it up somehow. And that could be, I guess the same thing could happen with a porta potty. But let's listen to some of his points that he talks about. So that is one good point. What he says there is it's hard to mess up because everybody knows how to use a porta potty.
For you to worry about, it's all about operational efficiencies and making things as easy as possible for you to run, and the consumer, they don't want to have to learn a new tool. But is it eating into your profits, or has it actually been like, oh my goodness, why didn't I think of that earlier? That's an amazing idea.
Yeah, you're exactly right about it. It's what people are used to. And I remember with my original setup, what I built was not much different than a porta potty. It just was under my deck. And sometimes when I would show people the tour of everything, and we'd get to that point, and I'd look at their facial expressions, and there'd be a little bit, you'd see the question marks in their head. And then once we decided we were going to go the porta potty route, it just it never was an issue. People are used to it. In fact, I think even in my description, I say it's what you'd find like at a music festival.
Yeah.
So, and it's just, they're new, they're clean, they're maintained every week. So I'm surprised to hear from you that I'm one of the few people who have them. I would think it's the best way to go.
It honestly sounds like it. I mean, I keep going back to it in my head, like, wow, like what an amazing life hack that is, where it just can make this so much easier for us.
So without getting into too much detail, there's no learning curve. So like there is with a composting toilet. So, and plus, you don't have to deal with it; somebody else does. And I will say our experience at our second dome, it's gone very well. One thing I don't like about the porta potties is if you're going number 2, you can get splashing. So nobody wants some blue liquid splashed back on them, you know, when they're using the porta potty. It's pretty gross. But you don't have to worry about it maintaining it. Somebody else does. We use a local vendor in Terlingua, and then every 2 weeks he goes out and he services our porta potty. Right now we've only got one dome on that track on that property, so it's just, you know, we stay pretty rented out, but those 2 weeks are good enough to where it's not getting, you know, too full or anything like that before he goes out there to service it. And we get lots of comments on our from guests saying, hey, they really didn't know what to think about, you know, having the porta potty, but it was actually a good experience, you know. And it was I've even had a guy know that it was the cleanest porta potty that he's ever used. So guests have been very receptive of it, and that's like the biggest. So the down part though is the cost as well. And Terlingua, where our property is, I have to pay $250 a month for it. So that's 250 months. We only have one unit out there, so 250 months out, but $250 comes out of the profit. But to me, that $250 is worth it. That I don't have to worry about changing any barrels. I don't have to worry about what somebody's thrown inside there, or if somebody somehow, you know, messed up the system. It's just like it's a big headache that I don't have to worry about. I've got somebody that goes out there, empties it out, you know, cleans it out for me. It's all taken care of, so it's been really worry-free. It's been $250 well spent. Now he goes over some numbers that's much less than that, but talking to the owner of the porta potty rental company I use, he has to drive 80 miles away just to dump it, and then he's got he's charged a fee for dumping all of that waste as well. So he's got a lot of cost, and out there in Terlingua, where it's so remote, it's expensive to do anything. So I completely understand where he's coming from. So I paid the $250 a month, and the guy I used does an excellent job, and I'm really glad I don't have to worry about maintaining the human waste. Now, I will say that for our next build, we're going to look at trying a different system, like I mentioned at the start, so I'm going to go ahead and show that. All right, just to set this up, so this is a glamping site on an island off the coast of Venezuela. Venezuela is actually where my wife's from. I traveled a lot there since the time I was in college. I went there to learn Spanish. You know, all through the years, I've been traveling back there, so I'm always following what's going on there. And there's this travel YouTuber couple, Dos Locos de Viaje. They did a video for this glamping site on this island called Isla Tortuga. So I'm going to show you the system that they use.
Miren, un poco más alejado se encuentra el baño. Acá están las bolsas. Usted toma una.
All right, you might already see where we're going with this. So they've got bags right there. So you can probably guess what those bags are used for.
Ahí entra al baño. Ahí hay un pote de cal. Usted agarra un poquito de cal, se lo echa en su bolsa.
All right, so you can see it's a really simple toilet setup. So what you do is you put the bag inside the toilet. Your guest does their business, and then in that blue bucket that you see on the bottom, there's agricultural lime. It's really cheap stuff that you can buy. So you scoop some of that agricultural lime, you put it in the bag, and then you do your business. And then I guess it just, it mixes up and you know, I guess solidifies, and then you just take that bag and throw it away.
Después de que hizo sus necesidades y se coloca en este pote azul, eso se recoge y se lleva.
All right, so once that trash can is full, what he's saying is they take it back to the mainland, and you know, it's disposed of.
Lleva a tierra firme, así no se contamina el medio ambiente.
Cuéntanos cómo te llamas.
Okay, so that's the system I plan on trying, so we'll see. Now, I know one of the cons that I said of using a composting system is that it's a learning curve for guests. Even though it's simple, somehow people end up messing it up. So I'm sure the system won't be perfect, but I'm not filling up a barrel to where, you know, it's going to weigh huge. I mean, just the, you know, gosh. Once those barrels are full, depending on how much urine's in it, it could weigh, you know, maybe even close to like 100 pounds. And then you've got all these barrels on your glamping site that you've got just sitting around, you know, composting. And then you got to, you know, do something with it after that. I guess you could make I guess in my mind, the first property we sold, but I guess in my mind, what I was going to do was just make a garden out there or something, just to have something to do with it. But this way, what I can see is if I try this system, knowing that it's probably not going to go perfect, it's going to be way less expensive than what I'm doing now. And I think it's so easy, you know, for the guests just to use this, you know, just throw as soon as they're done their business, throw their bag away. And then, you know, I can just use the trash service just to, you know, take away just to dispose of the waste afterwards. So hopefully it'll be pretty much hands off. And I don't have anything piling up on I don't have human waste piling up on our property. It's, you know, it's picked up with the trash. And so, yeah, that's what I'm going to try. So I'll go ahead and stop it there with this video. Let me know if you have any comments below. Have you looked into any other systems? Do you have any comments on these systems that I've gone over today? Do you have any questions about our experience with composting versus using a porta potty? Let me know in the comments below. Also, go ahead and make sure that you subscribe, hit the bells for notifications. Our next videos that we get in are basically going to be videos reviewing. It'll be basically skill building videos for our next build. I'm going to use some building methods that I haven't done before, so I'm going to go in and start looking at different videos, doing some research on the internet, and then share that information on the next video. The next one I'm going to do is we're going to do concrete piers using sonotubes. We're going to build a camping A-frame, but we're going to build it on top of concrete piers. So anyway, that's going to be the next video. Hope you enjoyed this one. Take care. Bye-bye.